Hello everyone, welcome to another video. This one will be focused on finding the bias for the session, the draw on liquidity, and how to utilize a top-down approach. I'm going to be using the 4-hour, 1-hour, 15-minute, and lower time frames, just showing you what I look for going into any given session, what I am looking to determine my bias, and things of that nature. So immediately, just off the bat, what I look for is what is the state of delivery, what's being respected and disrespected, any significant highs and lows that have been taken and we've seen a reaction from, gaps, and things of that nature. So I'm going to let's just go back here. Let's go to a recent time. And I'll just break down what I'm looking for and what I'm seeing right now. So immediately, right now, what catches my eye is we saw a huge leg up. Price came, dug into this huge imbalance, formed a leg, came down, dug into this bullish imbalance once more here, respected and stayed within that imbalance while sweeping a low on the 4-hour time frame. So price came, swept a low, maintained this bullish imbalance, and started to reject and head higher. For me, that is step one of a potential bullish sign. Then, what do we get? Price then comes, shoots up, and retraces. What does it retrace into? Here we have a new day gap. Price retraces into this new day opening gap, sweeps the low that's formed here from the Tuesday, while also respecting a breaker here. That's where my eyes go. We have this bullish breaker as well on the 4-hour that is being respected. So price comes, low, high, lower low, changes the state, retraces into a gap, into a bullish breaker, and continues heading higher off of a sweep of this low as well. On that next leg higher, what do we form? 1, 2 breakaway gaps as of right now, heading into the AM session of the Friday. So to me, price action on the 4-hour is showing a willingness to head higher. Unless I see some significant move from the sweep of this high here, if I start seeing price show a significant move lower and price changes the state, then and only then will I begin to change what I want to see in price. We have a 4-hour bullish gap here, and I'm going to form this one as well. We have 2 4-hour gaps here that have my interest. I want to see if price digs into this one, heads higher, digs into this one, heads higher, or completely goes through it and digs into the third gap here. So that's the 4-hour. Order flow is clearly bullish. We're seeing a sweep of a low, maintain the gap, disrespect bearish imbalances like this one, go right through this gap right here, form a breaker, retest the breaker, retest the new day opening gap, sweep a low on the lower time frame, respect it, bounce up, breakaway gap, come into this high. Now I want to see what we do when going into this high. So now let's go to the 1-hour time frame. Heading into that AM session, this is the low I was talking about. As you can see, the lower time frame low, this one being a 1-hour time frame. Sweep that low. Clearly a nice expansion higher, breakaway gap here, disrespect bearish gap here. So clearly price is leaning towards higher prices. So now I'm going to look and see what do we do heading into the AM session. All right, price went through that gap and went to the second bullish fair value gap. Clear expansion. To me, there is no reason to be bearish as of yet. As I gave you my reasoning, what we saw heading into this AM session, I would rather see higher prices unless something significant is getting my attention, and I'm not seeing that right now. So just off of this alone, what catches my attention heading into the AM session? Well, clearly we have sell side liquidity right here. We have another low right here. So these 2 lows have my attention. I want to see this price come to one of them or both. And what does it do from that point? And within those levels, we have a 15-minute bullish imbalance. So we have a 4-hour bullish imbalance tapped into, 50-minute bullish imbalance, sell side liquidity when order flow is bullish. So everything is prepping towards a potential move higher. That is where my eyes are looking. What catches my attention? Clear buy side liquidity up here. Why this level? Well, price has buy side liquidity alongside a bearish 50-minute for value gap right above it. So if price does come to this point, you could see some form of rejection from that point. So to me, the draw is higher. My draws are up here. So I'll take a trade in that direction for the session. Heading into that New York AM session, I'm going to look and see if we do get all of that. So price, 9 a.m. open, comes, doesn't sweep it just yet, and there you go. Price sweeps sell side liquidity. Now I'm going to wait. Does price respect this gap and want to come dig further? Or does it inverse this gap right here and start to head higher? I'll put it there, see what price does. And just like that, one candle off the sweep, 50-minute bullish imbalance, 4-hour bullish imbalance, order flow is bullish, sweep a 50-minute sell side liquidity. Right off the bat, inverse this gap. Perfect. What do we do as well? All right, look, we form a bullish gap in the process as well. So we have a inverse for value gap with a bullish for value gap, with the whole top-down approach being bullish. You can enter right now if you wanted to, or you could be more patient and wait for price to change the state. If you'd rather see a change in the state of delivery, you're going to get a bit of a later entry, but that's fine. Again, if that's what you would rather see, extra confirmations, then you can take that as well. You can enter off this right now. You can wait for the change in the state, whatever you would like. For me, based on what I'm seeing, the top-down approach, this is enough for me to want to enter. I would enter here, put my stop below the low, and target that buy side liquidity. That's it. That's all. If you would like to wait for the low, or the change in state delivery to occur, you can wait for that as well. So what do we see off that? Price comes here, huge wick, and you see that it's beginning to change the state of delivery. So here now we're confirming that delivery, and we could see that move to that buy side liquidity. So we'll just fast forward, see if we get it. So what are we seeing here? Bearish gaps inversed. That first bearish gap inversed off the sweep of liquidity. Clear bullish order flow. 50-minute gap, bullish imbalance. 4-hour bullish imbalance. All being respected. Draw higher. Buy side liquidity is clear. See if we get that move. And there we go. So there we go. Almost 70-point move. Very easy, very simple off of just that simple top-down approach. We get that there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to another trade. So we'll just remove everything from our charts here. And we'll go to another one. All right, let's go back to the 4-hour and let's go to a random point in time. Let me remove everything, all my annotations, and see what we get. I'm going to pick a random point in time, somewhere around here, and we're just going to go with it there. All right. Let's go to the 4-hour now. So we're on the 4-hour. What are we seeing here? If I had to analyze from this point, we see, okay, 4-hour gap here. Price is holding the midpoint of that gap. Hold on, let's go to the next day. And here we are. Just so we can head to the AM session. So price held this midpoint. We have this high right here. To me, that looks pretty obvious. What is it though? It's within this bearish imbalance. So we could see price potentially head lower. So we have several factors that are opposing. What do we have here? New week gap. I want to see if price does want to dig into it as well. So several opposing factors here. So I would go to the 1-hour time frame to confirm what I think price would likely do. And so what are we seeing as of late? Well, price clearly took this high, came down into this new week gap, started to move higher, and we have this high taken as well. I want to see, does price show a willingness to head lower here? Do we show a willingness to head lower? Or are we going to take this high? Sweep of a 1 hour high here. And we're heading into the session. I want to see what price does from this point. Does it show a willingness to head lower? We have several lows here that have gone untouched. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have these 8 a.m. lows here that look very appealing in the direction of the new week gap. Price, as I said on the 1 hour, price took this high here. So would we show a willingness to head higher? Unsure. So I'm going to wait and see what price does at that 9 a.m. open. Price shoots up and actually takes this high here. All right, so now we're in that bearish gap. We have this high taken. We have several lows untouched. To me, price is likely going to head lower in the direction of that new week gap. So I would head to the lower time frame and see if we get an entry worth taking in this AM session. I look, I say, okay, on the lower time frames, not much as of late, not much just yet. We have bullish gaps here. I want to see if those get inversed. And we get just that. What do we have here? We have a debatable breaker. Not the most clean of breakers, but one that you can make the case for as well. We have an inverse gap right here. So two things right here confirming. Price came, formed this high, headed lower, rejected this order block, came down, debatable bearish breaker block, inverse this gap, clear several lows on the higher time frame here, right here, all in the direction of the new week gap. Price swept this high. There really isn't much of a willingness to head higher, so I would likely lean towards lower prices. Target that. Sell side liquidity here for the AM session, looking to see if we get something like that. So we'll see what price does here from this point. I'm entered right here, and we'll see what price does. And like that, as you can see, price right off the bat, using the top-down approach, what price is likely going to do. I mean, just a beautiful move, 134 points to that sell side liquidity, and can even head lower. Like, you can target these lows as well. You can even go as low as this if you would like. Why? Because to me, these lows, all in the direction of new week gap, should be tapped into. If I had to target something, if I was pushing it, I would go as far as here. And that's exactly what we got there. We could even head lower, but I wouldn't target those. Starting to see a rejection from that point. Took this low. We could head lower, but I'm happy with that. And we do get that lower price action, but I'm happy targeting that sell side liquidity in the direction I would like. So again, just showing you what I think will happen than not, what's more likely to happen based on what's being respected, disrespected, what gaps do we have, what is the delivery like, and things of that nature. All right, so here is another example of how to use that top-down approach to find the bias, to find the likely drawn liquidity, to know where price will likely gravitate towards, using very simple concepts like what's being respected, what's being disrespected, any highs or lows that are being taken, what is the order flow, what's the state of delivery, gaps, things of that nature. So clearly, I mean very clearly, order flow is clearly bearish. The state of delivery is clearly bearish. And we come down, and every time we form a low, it just gets ran right through, forming a newer low. So we come form this low, come form another low that fails to take this low here. Come up, and what do? We dig into this 4-hour bearish gap here. Let me just mark it as it is. 4-hour bearish gap. But what else do we do? We sweep this high right here. So order flows bearish. We come dig back into a 4-hour bearish imbalance, sweep a high, and resume the move lower. At the very least, to me, I want to see at the very least this low tapped into. One of these two significant lows at the very least. I want to see at least this one tapped into. To me, the order flow is clearly bearish. For us to make a move higher, I want to see us at least sweep one low. What do we do when we sweep that high? Well, we have the only bullish imbalance formed here. And what does it do? After sweeping that high, we come and inverse it. So we have clearly order flows bearish. We dig up into a bearish 4-hour gap, sweep a high, come back below, inverse a bullish imbalance with a clear low below. To me, the likely draw is here. That's on the 4-hour. Now I go to the 1-hour. I say, okay, what are we seeing here? Are we confirming my 4-hour bias? And the answer is yes. So what do we do? Order flows clearly bearish. We come, form this high, sweep the high, inverse this bullish imbalance, inverse this bullish imbalance, respect this bearish imbalance right here. Order flow is clearly bearish, and we have clear low right here that I think price would likely gravitate towards. What do I want to see? On the 15-minute, I want to see price jump into a premium so I can catch an optimal short in this direction to this draw. I don't necessarily need to target this draw. I could if it's reasonable, but I want to take a trade in that direction because the order flow is clearly bearish. So I want to see price either sweep a high on the 15-minute, dig into a bearish gap on the 15-minute. One of those two things, whilst building a premium. So just off of this, the 9 to 10 a.m. hour dumped. In order for me to want to find an optimal short, I want to see price either dig into this bearish gap here or come take one of these highs. So I'm going to analyze this bearish gap right here. Does price return to it? If price does not return to it, I just have no interest. I will let price continue heading lower. Heading into that new hour, we pump up a bit. So I either want to see price come into this gap or go past it, take a high, and then reverse. If we tap into this gap and this is enough for price to want to head lower, what I want to see is an internal sweep. I want to see price do something like this. Let me get the path out. I want to see price do something like this. Form a high, come lower, sweep that newly generated liquidity, that newly generated high, and then resume its move lower. To me, that's an optimal short. High, form another high, sweep that newly generated high, and then dump. If we get this, just tap into this and then move lower, you can catch a trade. It's just, to me, not as optimal. Why? Because that newly generated sweep right here, if we're truly bearish and we have the direction correct, price should not show a willingness to head back to that high. Why? Because it just swept liquidity. It just swept a newly generated high. So price should not want to head to that high once more. So let's see if that's what we get. All right, so what do we have? We have the high. If price continues to dump from here, you can try and catch a trade, but to me, I would much rather see price sweep this high right here. If we get that, then and only then can we find the entry. So we're going to look, and we actually do get it. What do we get here? Price sweeps the high, taps into that 4-hour bearish and bounce. So let's recap what we're seeing right now. All right, price. The order flow is clearly bearish. The state of the delivery is clearly bearish on the higher time frame. Price sweeps a high on the 4-hour while tapping into a 4-hour bearish imbalance. Price then disrespects a bullish imbalance on the higher time frame and wants to head to that low that has not yet been tapped into. We go on the 50-minute time frame. Price digs into a 50-minute bearish imbalance with an internal sweep, digging into a premium for an optimal short in the direction of the drawn liquidity. Everything is lined up for an optimal short. I want to see this gap inversed. We get it. We get a change in the state on the lower time frame. And what else do we have? Inverse gap right here. So that's one that you can mark out. We have a breaker right here. That as well. So I would likely enter on the validation. You can wait for the retest, or you can wait for price to validate that change in the state, and you can enter on that. And what else does price do? It forms a fair value gap as well. So we have now, recap once more. Order flows bearish on the higher time frame. Price digs into a 4-hour bearish gap, sweeps a high, disrespects a bullish imbalance on the higher time frame, resuming that bearish price action. Price then digs into a premium, retraces into a 15-minute bearish imbalance, rebalances to that imbalance, internal sweep. Price then reverses change in the state on the lower time frame, and then forms a bearish fair value gap, bearish breaker block, bearish inverse fair value gap. All three simultaneously aligned. I like to call that the triple whammy. It's a very rare but very effective signature in price. All that lined with the drawn liquidity, targeting this low in line with the draw. You can target the draw right here, or you can target in the direction of the draw. State of delivery is clearly bearish. Wait for a retest. Stop above that high. Why above that high? I mentioned it. Why above that high? Well, price just swept this high right here. Price swept that high right here. So if price is truly bearish and we have the direction right and we have the timing correct, price should not want to come back up to here. Why? Because it just swept liquidity. Why would it want to go back up when the order flow is clearly bearish? So do we get the retest? We do. There we go. Price digs into all three of those PD arrays. And so I enter here, target that low. You can target the draw as well if you'd like. If you want to go as low as that and hold a few more runs, you could do that as well. I'm just going to go for the base hit, show you guys that you can catch the safe draw as well within the higher time frame draw. Because if it makes sense, then you can go for the draw. And this does make sense. You could go for that. But let's say the drawn liquidity on the higher time frame is way farther than that and you don't think it'll be tapped into this session. Well, you can trade in the direction of that draw because price will gravitate towards it over time. So after that entry, what does price do? We're going to look and see, okay, we're still in this. Price clearly has respected these three lower time frame imbalances, these three lower time frame PD arrays, and then begins to gravitate. Let's see if we get the low, and we get it. So the low has, yes, it has been tapped into for around 171 points, 2.28 risk to reward. Very clean, very smooth. Showed you exactly what the reasoning behind the trade was. Like I said, higher time frame order flow bearish, respect bearish imbalances, sweep a high in a bearish imbalance, disrespect a bullish imbalance, all in the higher time frame, retrace into a premium on the 50-minute, rebalance of that 50-minute bearish imbalance, internal sweep, change in the state on the lower time frame to that bearish price action, form the inverse gap, fair value gap, bearish breaker, all simultaneously aligned, enter there, target opposing liquidity in the direction of the draw. And you can even target the draw in this case. So let's see if I get the draw right also. You can target the draw as well. It's a bit riskier, but it's very attainable. So let's see if I got the draw correct as well. So far it appears that we may get it, and we got it. So as you can see, the draw is tapped into as well at 19407.5. So this top-down approach, everything was done very well. Explained in detail why I would be one-sided for this session. Found all the confirmations, found the proper entry for a beautiful trade right there. So with that being said, I hope this was insightful. I hope you're able to learn something. I wish you good luck at trading, and take care, everyone.